Hello, and welcome back. Tonight's story is based on a chilling legend whispered in Myanmar, a story many locals swear is true. Deep in the forests outside Mandalay, hidden among banyan trees and restless winds, stands an old shrine draped in crimson cloth. Villagers say it isn't a place for blessings, it's a place for bargains. And one night, a young man named Kayor came here with a desperate prayer. Not for wealth, not for health, but for a wife who didn't belong to this world. The incense curled upward, shaping faces in the smoke. The forest went silent. And then, she stepped out. A woman too beautiful to be human, with eyes glowing like embers that refuse to die. They say some prayers don't save you. They bind you. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll see why making a wish at the wrong shrine can cost more than your life. Subscribe if you dare, because this is only the beginning. Kayor was not born lucky. He was a poor farmer in a small Burmese village, his hands cracked and hardened from endless days under the sun. Every season brought disappointment. Rice fields that looked full from afar, but yielded only empty husks, granaries echoing with hunger, and neighbors' glances heavy with pity. He had grown tired of bowing his head, tired of hearing the same whispers. That boy will never escape poverty. His purpose was simple: survive the fields, feed his family, and maybe one day break free from the shadow of failure. Like any man, he longed for respect. He wanted to walk through the market without seeing children point at his torn shirt or old women shaking their heads at his misfortune. All he dreamed of was a chance, just one, to change the course of his life. Then came the turning point. After he married the mysterious woman in red, everything changed. The land, once stubborn and dry, suddenly turned green. The rice stalks grew tall and heavy, bending under the weight of full grain. Neighbors who once pitied him now looked on with envy, muttering that Kayor's fortune had arrived overnight. His house, once bare and cold, now smelled of abundance. But there was something uncanny about this new life. His wife never ate at the communal table. She smiled politely when neighbors offered food, but the bowls always remained untouched. At night, she never seemed to sleep, sitting quietly by the doorway as if waiting for something. Her face was beautiful, too beautiful, almost painfully flawless. And her calm smile carried a strange weight, like a knife wrapped in silk. Kayor ignored the unease. Why question good fortune when the fields were finally golden, when hunger no longer crept into his bed at night? He told himself that the world was finally balancing the scales in his favor. That was all he had ever wanted, a normal, dignified life. The truth, of course, was that nothing about this new chapter was normal. But in those early days, Kayor let himself believe it. And for the villagers watching from a distance, his story was a simple one. A poor man who found luck, love, and harvest. A story so ordinary it could have belonged to anyone, maybe even you. The first sign came quietly, almost disguised as ordinary life. One morning, Kayor stepped outside and froze at the sight of a rooster lying stiff across the threshold of his home. Its throat had been cut clean, the blood running in an unnervingly straight line, as if placed there with care rather than spilled in violence. The morning air was heavy with iron, sharp and metallic, the smell clinging to his tongue. Before he could ask, she appeared behind him, his beautiful wife, untouched by the strain of farm life. Her voice was calm, almost amused. An offering. Kayor frowned, confused. An offering to whom? To what? She only smiled faintly, brushing his worry aside with the ease of someone reminding him about the price of rice at the market. Just traditions, she said. Small prices for big blessings. And in that moment, surrounded by the evidence of new prosperity, fields greener than ever, barns heavy with grain, Kayor let himself believe. Fortune always had a cost, didn't it? He told himself this was just the way of things, nothing more than the quiet rituals of a world older than him. But the neighbors thought differently. Whispers began to curl through the village streets like smoke. Mothers pulled their children closer as Kayor passed. Men who once shared drinks with him at dusk now avoided his gaze, muttering about a house too rich, too silent, too cold. His door no longer felt like the entrance to a home. It felt like the mouth of a tomb, blood-marked and watchful. Kayor rationalized the unease the way desperate men often do. He told himself people envied him, that jealousy made them cruel. He told himself the rooster had no meaning beyond superstition. He told himself his wife's smile was only a woman's charm, not a shadow hiding a sharper truth. But the audience, the ones hearing his story now, can sense what he cannot. The detail is too precise, the blood too straight, the silence around their home too deep. It isn't just a coincidence or a harmless quirk of custom. It's a warning. And while Kayor convinces himself that prosperity requires only a little sacrifice, the truth is that the sacrifice has already begun. Every night repeats the same ritual. Incense sticks hiss to the end, midnight after midnight. Their ash forms neat spines like fish bones across the threshold. More, she whispers, and Kayor adds another stick, another brittle tray of jasmine, another coin of silver left to tarnish by dawn. Goats bleat, then go silent. Chickens wither. A stray dog is found stiff beside the well, 2 pinpricks darkening its throat. Kayor tells himself it's a sickness crossing the valley, an unlucky season, a farmer's math of losses and gains. Yet the pattern tightens. Her requests swell into orders. Silver bangles, a knife-forged bell, a black hen at moonrise. She wants the window unlatched, the door unbarred, the mirror turned to face the wall. She kisses him goodnight, and his tongue tastes of iron. When he wakes, the incense has burned to the mark she traced on the floorboards with chalk, and the room is colder than water drawn from the monastery jar. At the village festival, under the red paper lanterns, the elder lifts his cup and warns quietly, "Gnats don't marry for love. They bind." She looks over. His voice catches like a fishbone. He coughs until his eyes wet, then forces a laugh to keep the music alive. People joke about old throats and strong rice wine. Only Kayor sees the way her gaze wipes the colour from the elder's lips. He tries to share what he's seen. Friends clap his shoulders, call it wedding nerves. The priest closes the confessional grate and advises rest, a more generous tithe, a little salt at the window, harmless customs. The neighbours busy their hands and speak to him through doors. Even the crows ignore the dead dog, as if taught. Night after night, the repetitions throb louder. The incense count climbs to 9. The silver tray grows heavy. The animals vanish closer to the house. Once, before dawn, he finds a rooster slit and placed along the threshold, blood drawn into a perfect line like handwriting. He scrubs it away. By dusk, a new line appears. He wants to shout. He tells himself to be patient, to love harder. And still, when footsteps circle the house and the mirror throbs with breath, no one hears but him. The village sleeps. Kayor counts ash and heartbeats, promising to refuse tomorrow. Yet at midnight, his hands obey the whisper first, and choice arrives late. The shrine that once seemed like a place of fortune now mutates into a cage of terror. Smoke thickens in the night air, no longer the gentle coils of incense, but black streams writhing into the forms of screaming faces. They open their mouths in silent agony, jaws stretched too far, eyes hollow pits that follow Kayor wherever he looks. Every whisper of the wind now sounds like 100 mouths gasping for breath. She steps forward, and the illusion of beauty shatters. Her once flawless skin splits and hardens, turning stone grey, cracking like weathered tombs. The lips that once curved in quiet smiles peel back to reveal teeth too long, too sharp, gleaming like knives slick with unseen blood. Her eyes burn with ash-colored fire, reflecting the shrine's smoke. She smiles, not with love, but with hunger. The air grows heavy, pressing against Kyor's chest like invisible hands. He tastes iron at the back of his throat, as though every breath is laced with blood. The pounding of his heart becomes a drumbeat in his ears, faster, louder, until it drowns out the world. He tries to stand tall, but his knees buckle. His body shakes as if the marrow itself has turned to water. "You are not the first," she whispers, her voice low and jagged. "They promised, then betrayed. They begged, then ran. All their vows broke into dust." As she speaks, the smoke faces twist closer, some bearing familiar features, men bound in agony, their mouths stretched in silent screams. "They are still here. They will never leave me, and now, neither will you." Chains of smoke coil around Kyor's arms and chest, pulling him to the cracked stones. His wealth, his imagined fortune, flashes before his eyes. But every golden coin becomes a rusted shackle. Every overflowing basket of grain becomes a stone that drags him further down. The dream of prosperity now feels like the very weight crushing his lungs. He claws at the ground, but the smoke presses harder. His voice breaks into a hoarse cry, but no one comes. Around him, the forest is silent, the village far away, the shrine a tomb. He realizes too late that the blessing he begged for has become the curse that will consume him. Kyor stumbled away from the shrine, as if every root, every shadow wanted to drag him back. His fortune, gold coins hidden in his sash, rice stacked in sacks, had become unbearable weight. Each step felt like wading through ash. The deeper he moved into the village path, the clearer it was. He hadn't escaped with treasure. He had escaped with scars. The night air should have been cool, but it burned in his lungs. Every flicker of torchlight along the road bent into faces, mouths whispering without sound. He pressed forward, eyes wide, afraid that if he stopped, her voice would catch him. "Don't fear, I will keep you." By the time he reached his hut, the eastern sky had begun to pale. He collapsed on the dirt floor, clutching his chest. His wife lay inside, serene, her crimson robe untouched by dust. Her hand, cold as river stones, settled on him, anchoring him more firmly than rope. To anyone looking in, they were a married couple sharing a quiet morning. But Kyor's trembling body told a different story. This was survival, not life. Days blurred. He carried coins to market, but every clink echoed like chains striking stone. The rice he touched murmured with voices, children crying, men cursing broken promises. Sleep, once a refuge, turned into a corridor where unseen hands brushed his shoulders, where her smile gleamed in mirrors that should have been dark. He avoided neighbors. Their eyes already slid away from him, as though the house itself was contagious. Alone, he tried to remind himself of freedom, of leaving the shrine behind. But each night, she reminded him of the bargain. Her words were soft, almost tender. No hunger, no suffering, only that you never leave. Kyor had fled, but not far enough. The fields grew, the coins multiplied, yet nothing belonged to him. The scars weren't on his skin, but in his soul. The knowledge that survival meant surrender, and that the door he once opened could never truly be shut. Barely alive, he realized the cruelest truth of all. Escaping her temple did not mean escaping her. It meant carrying her, forever, like a shadow stitched beneath his ribs. The night of revelation came not with thunder, but with silence so deep that even the crickets hushed. Kyor stood frozen as she turned to him, her voice carrying neither anger nor affection, but something older, colder, like stone that had been waiting to speak. "Your vow was blood," she whispered. "You just didn't see it." At first, he thought it was a cruel jest, but her words pulled the threads of memory tight until every moment of their life together snapped into focus. The sudden harvest that had filled his empty granary after years of famine. The rooster lay dead at the threshold, its blood pooling neatly like a signature. The elder at the festival choking mid-sentence beneath her gaze. All of it had been part of a pattern, a chain of rites Kayor had walked through blind, believing himself blessed. Now the truth unfolded. The night he entered the forest shrine, he had not made a prayer, he had signed a contract. The crimson cloth draped over the shrine was not decoration but a veil, a marker that divided the living from the bound. His whispered plea for a wife was heard by one who did not belong to the world of the breathing. She had stepped forth, not as gift, not as companion, but as enforcer of the bargain. She explained without shame. The Nat, spirits born from violent death, were not courted with flowers or coins. They were bought with promises of flesh, blood, and loyalty. By kneeling at that shrine, Kayor had offered himself, his home, and his lineage. The wealth, the harvest, the protection from misfortune, all of it was payment returned for his servitude. He was not a husband but property, his body a vessel claimed, his fortune collateral. The pieces clicked, sharp as broken glass. Every warning ignored, every strange ritual brushed aside, had been part of the debt he now owed. Fortune had not lifted him, it had shackled him. Kayor's chest tightened as he realized the magnitude of his mistake. He had not been living beside a wife. He had been living inside a pact, one written not with ink, but with blood spilled at thresholds, silenced tongues, and endless offerings. The revelation left him colder than the night air. He was not blessed, he was owned. What do you think? If fortune came knocking at your door, but a spirit was knocking, would you dare open the door? Luck is tempting, especially when hunger and hardship are imminent. However, as with any bargain with the invisible, the price is rarely what it seems. In Myanmar, Nat shrines are everywhere. Small wooden altars under trees, scarlet cloth tied around pillars, incense billowing into the sky. People leave food, money, even chickens at these shrines, not out of pure devotion, but out of necessity. Nats are not gods. They are spirits born from unjust or painful deaths. Because of their suffering, they wield great power, both blessing and cursing. A vow to Nat can bring prosperity to a barren farm or shelter to a struggling family. But such vows can also bind, turning what seemed like a gift into a lifelong bond. So the question remains, when survival requires sacrifice, how much of yourself will you give up? Will you endure a vow whispered in the dark? Or will you break it and risk it all? Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next story.